Hello and welcome to another episode of Geekgo. Today we're going to look at the Simpsons games on MS-DOS. Well, let's dive right in. First, let's look at Bart vs. the Space Mutants on DOS. This was released in 1991 by Acclaim and Ocean Entertainment. Now, if you watched a certain Angry Nerds video about the NES version, you know it's a bad game, but let's give it the benefit of the doubt that it was just a bad port and that DOS version might be better. First look is, well, you got this stupid password thing going on. Go to your manual, open the book, it's on a stupid page, and Anyway, as you can see, the graphics are much, well, nicer. Instead of looking like an 8-bit thing, it looks more like a 16-bit SNES game. So maybe they should release this game on the Super Nintendo instead of the NES. The music sounds better, the sound effects sound alright, but Bart's voice, listen.
Wow, man.
That sounds pretty good. So this one actually has a proper cutscene video-like intro where you see the aliens come down in, out of all the places, the backyard of the Simpsons' home. And of course the cutscene shows off the X-ray glasses that Bart seems to have. I don't know how Bart got X-ray glasses that can see through alien disguises. You know, I guess they come in every crusty cereal box, just like those little metal gears that Bart swallowed one time. Crusty cereal comes full with scientific equipment and spare parts and rubbish. So Bart looks at the aliens and they look nothing like the NES counterparts. In fact, they look like, well, kind of like Ninja Turtles. That'd be cool. Simpsons versus Ninja Turtles. I don't know how the story would work, but people would definitely go see that. People would go see Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtles, so why not the Simpsons? Makes perfect sense anyway.
Well, I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you?
So let's look at the gameplay here. The levels are identical, and unfortunately so are the controls. They feel just as wonky and slippery and unresponsive as ever. And guess what? The controls actually plays really oddly on the keyboard. I mean, think about it. On the keyboard you have, you know, like 100-something different buttons, but they decided to put it in the most awkward way possible. Basically, they've opted for a weird Nintendo gamepad-like setting on the keyboard. What I mean by this is, jump is Q, A is specs or item, and P and O is move. Frankly, the controls are just really odd, and this game is just, ugh. I mean, people have already reviewed the NES version, so just look at that. There's nothing more I can say. While this game looks a lot nicer than its other counterparts, this is probably the best looking version and the best sounding version, which is really a shame because graphically and musically this game is excellent. The gameplay is just appalling. The Simpsons Bart's House of Weirdness. This was released in 1992 by Konami again. So, well, basically this game has a kind of weird premise. The story of this game is quite simple. Bart gets grounded in his room. No one's actually making sure he is grounded, so he can actually walk around the house. And he can access all these weird places. This game is basically like Bart's Nightmare on the Super Nintendo, except with, well, different mini-games. Bart can go to all these different rooms and start a mini game. He has to find all these objects or do all these tasks in these different rooms. For example, one level he has to save Maggie, one level he has to find a key, a slingshot, and one level is Itchy and Scratchy, and oh god, not Space Mutant again. Ugh. Well, let's dive right into one of the first levels where I have to defeat a bunch of bees and pick up this item at the end, which I'm not quite sure what it is. And if you listen to it, you might notice this sounds and feels a lot like, well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, also released by Konami. The sound effects are exactly the same and the music is also exactly the same. See? And here comes the annoying bit. Your movements are stiff. The bees fly all over the place and they always hover slightly above your shooting angle. So in order to hit the bees you have to shoot at 45 degrees. But of course the manual doesn't tell you how to do that, so you gotta somehow find out by yourself, which I did. Ugh. For a long time just keep shooting and jumping. You can't shoot in midair, so I just keep doing it and then nothing happens until I realized I can shoot at a 45-degree angle. Now the jumping is weird. I mean, Bart jumps like a Chinese vampire. And I better write this enchantment sheet. There we go. Look how easy it is to stop these things. Although I can't actually kill a Chinese vampire with this. I'm gonna have to put it somewhere. Oh well, guess I'll just give it to my neighbours. Ooh, look, a giant wax statue of a Chinese zombie. Ooh, what's this yellow piece of paper? Ooh, ah! Oh well. Then look at this, he misses that. How's that possible? Look, his feet goes through, well, the landing spot. So, yeah, this is one of those games where your jumping has to be absolutely precise. And it doesn't help that the enemies keep respawning, which is really annoying. And again, they respawn at the worst angle possible and fly all over the place. So I keep dying on this level and I don't make it, so I'm going to try a different level. So here, we got in the basement and you gotta, I think this is the Save Maggie level. So you walk down there, these lizards are far too small and short for you to shoot, so again, you gotta somehow shoot 45 degrees downwards. Oh, what the hell is this? It's like a reverse Spirited Away. Look at all those white dust balls, like all those... It's like they're mini Michael Jackson spirits from Spirited Away. Yeah. And then if you get caught by that weird guy that I think is in season 1, this happens. Ew. Ew. So what's next? Itchy and Scratchy posters. So, this looks like a fun place to be if you're not actually Bart Simpson. But look at this mess. This map is completely cluttered with knives and bombs everywhere. Yes, it's true to the cartoon Itchy Scratchy where it's completely chaotic, but in terms of gameplay, it is also completely chaotic, and I can't maneuver through the level without getting hit by all these different knives and bombs. I mean, imagine you're trapped in hell and your punishment was to live an eternity with crazy Itchy and Scratchy cartoons. You wouldn't be laughing. You wouldn't be laughing at all. You'd be quite, well, scared, terrified, and eventually get bored of it. Like, you know, just knives just fly through your face and go, oh, another cut, don't care. Imagine if 100 paper cuts start flying down through your skin and you're bored of it. Imagine that kind of existence. That's this level. Well, let's take a look at one more level. This is, well, space aliens. Ooh. Oh, okay, this level seems pretty calm. Not, you know, having 100 different enemies flying towards me, and doesn't seem to be anywhere I need to jump onto. So, I could probably go through this. Oh, you, Well, I guess this game does teach kids a good lesson. Look before you cross the road. And then guess what? Later, if you come back to this screen, you have to look and stand next to the road again because that car comes back and there's no way for you to stop it. This level is like a trial and error. You gotta stand at the edge of each screen and make sure you keep pressing the shoot button. Because if you don't stop shooting, well, you're gonna get killed by all these aliens that pop up. And then this happens. Let me tell you something, you can't crouch, so those lasers will hit you in the face. It's like someone whacking your face with a penis that you can't dodge. It's really annoying, and then you die. So this game is... Next one. Krusty's Funhouse. Now this was released by Acclaim Entertainment in 1990, well, 2 or 3 depending on where you are in the world, and well, this game is pretty much the same as its SNES counterpart. There's a Game Boy version as well. Basically, some rats infest Krusty's show and he has to go around and get rid of them. It's a puzzle game with average jumping mechanics and all that. Basically, you just pick up these blocks, put these blocks down so that the rats can step on the blocks, and walk into these traps. You also throw pies at snakes. You throw pies at snakes. And yeah, these rats are kind of like lemmings. They just keep walking until they have enough space to jump up. And they are, well, disposed of in the most humane possible way. Yes, exactly. They are disposed of in a very humane way. Ugh. Ugh. So kids, if you ever see a, you know, different animal in your house, just bash it with a hammer. Make perfect sense. And then your mom has to like sweep up all the guts and small tiny rat penises all over the place anyway. So anyway, let's move on to our main event. In 1991, this modest little game came out called the Simpsons arcade game, and then all the console owners were like, oh, it didn't get ported, oh, like X-Men on Konami arcade, it didn't get ported for home consoles, where? Well, guess what? This game was indeed ported onto Commodore 64 and, well, MS-DOS. So, PC gamers win this time. It's not. Yes, the Super Nintendo Turtles in Time were. So anyway, this version was released soon after the arcade version, and okay, eventually it did get into consoles, like, a gazillion years later. In 2012 it finally got ported, and also has the iPad version, which is nothing like the original one, so forget about that one. And of course they, charge you a high price for a really old game that didn't even touch it up with HD graphics or anything. So let's go on to the game, and of course when you launch the game you got all these settings, and then, well, the logo pops up. Well, the graphics wise and music wise, it's nothing compared to the arcade versions, but guess what, it was on DOS and at least we got the game, so I'm not complaining there are limitations. And then you realize this is the 2-player port of the game and not like the 4-player versions that you can sometimes see in the arcades, which is also fine, I guess, with limitations to the hardware and all that. Graphics wise, it looks like something in the middle of Super Nintendo and Nintendo. It's not quite 16-bit, but it's definitely more colorful than an 8-bit console. The sound is, well, VGA sounds quite decent actually. It's better than, the MIDI sounds if you have that setting only. But most people with DOSBox these days can go on the top settings and it sounds just fine. And yes, I have played the arcade version and the levels are slightly altered. Also, unlike the arcade version, there are no digitized voices in this version of the game. Gameplay wise, you have a maximum limit amount of lives. And on single player, this game gets really hard because remember, this is a part of an arcade game that is supposed to kill you and be relentless because they want your money. So when you're playing a PC version with a limited amount of lives, chances are you're gonna die alone. So, since it's an arcade game, it's always better to have a friend play with you. So, in order to play 2-player, you gotta sit right next to your best buddy, cuddle all up snugly and nice and warm, bit gay, and then stick, all 4 hands onto the same keyboard. Yay! So the story is this. One day while you're walking down, you bump into Mr. Burns, and then Mr. Burns' expensive diamond falls into Maggie's mouth. And then you gotta go save Maggie because she's sucking on the diamond. Don't know why you can't just pull the diamond out, but yeah. Talk about a thin plot. Feels just like Simpsons season 20. So yes, the first level is downtown Springfield, which looks nothing like Springfield, but then again, Springfield never looks the same every time you see it, in the TV show or in other video games. And if you picked Marge, you're smart because, well, this game isn't exactly balanced. Marge has a longer attack range because she smacks people with a vacuum cleaner. Lisa whips people. Homer just punches people. And Bart uses his skateboard. I don't know why, but personally I feel Bart's the weakest one because his skateboard has a really short range. The game itself, much like the TV show, has a lot of in-jokes in the background if you pay attention sometimes, and even breaking the fourth wall on a few different occasions, like the Simpsons arcade game in the Simpsons arcade game. However, you also have to watch out for the background, since some of the doors open and smack you and you lose health. Of course, the game doesn't tell you this, so you only know this after you played this a few times and actually bumped into it and lost some health already. Again, these are more annoying little things to, take coins from you if you were in the arcade, but they've kept them in the PC version. Which, yes, if you didn't keep them in the PC version, people complain, oh, you didn't have a true port. So they gotta be in there, but at least give me some warning somehow. Or give me more lives. Fortunately in the game, they do give you a lot of help. Every time you see trees, you can get 2 apples with them, which replenishes your health. There are also different people holding burgers, sometimes the donuts. And also you can pick up all these different random objects that you can throw at people. Every time you pick up and throw one of these objects, the damage is double of your own attack, which is quite useful. And also you can pick up hammers, which you can use for a limited time, which also doubles your maximum damage. And also slingshot, which is a ranged weapon that also doubles your maximum. In between level there are some bonus stage where you just keep tapping the button, hopefully your balloon will get really big and you win. And the winner gets an extra life, although on the PC version I have never been able to win this. I tap as fast as I can, it just doesn't happen. On the arcade version I can manage just fine, but on here it Well, try it yourself, but out of a million times I've played this, I've never ever managed to able to beat those other people in these bonus stages. So my advice is just rest your hand, because after tapping for so hard and for so long, you're going to be really tired for the next level when you still have to keep tapping the attack button. So maybe you can get a rapid fire keyboard to do it for you? So the next level is Krusty Land, and here you even get to fight Matt Groening's original bunnies. Well, people in those bunny costumes anyway. And big fat people in giant teapots, which is actually really funny. And also a giant molesting Krusty head. Squeeze, squeeze. After that you go to Springfield's discount cemetery with lots of zombies and henchmen dressed up as ghosts for some reason. Don't know why there's zombies here, but hey, who cares? Now the way the henchmen dressed up as ghosts behave is that if you walk underneath them, they will hurt you. Except you can always see where they're hiding. So really, the ghost is more of a hassle. You gotta jump up there and then punch them down so that they don't hurt you. But they're not really hiding, so you know exactly where they are, so it's just slowing you down, and frankly it's just a little irritating. But it does add a little bit of variety. The zombies like to... well, they melt and re-emerge from the ground, so they come up and come down, and you can't hit them when they're in the ground. And you also got the hopping ones, which again hop like Chinese vampires. That's 2 Chinese vampire references in these DOS Simpsons games. And then next you have Moe's Tavern, which skips the elevator level from the arcade game. And of course Moe's Tavern looks nothing like Moe's Tavern, and the level starts off with a mini boss. So that's 2 bosses in the same level. Talk about sudden jump of difficulty. And yes, check that out, Moe looks nothing like Moe in this game. In fact, he didn't even look like Moe in the arcade game. And oh look, there's some green slime on the table for you to eat. Yum yum. And of course the boss for this stage is, well, you never guess, it's not even Barney. It's, I don't know why Barney would be attacking you, but it's some weird fire-breathing drunk who doesn't exist in the show. And he is way bigger, way taller, way lankier than any other Simpsons character I've ever seen. He's like he's from a different game altogether. After that you have Springfield Butt. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. But, well, from the bunny it looks actually a golf course, although it, well, nothing resembles a golf course in the level. The level itself is more like a nature mountain hiking level, with bears and rocks and boulders coming down all over the place. And of course Yetis. Oh, and watch out for falling rocks on this bridge, because there isn't much room on that screen anyway, and then suddenly these rocks appear from nowhere, knocking you out. And then of course you fight a bear at the end of this level. Animal cruelty fits right in with Simpsons games, from punching mice, killing cats, and punching bears. And then after that level you have Dreamland, which is one of the most creative levels in this game, because other levels aren't creative at all. In here you fight mutant donuts, mutant radioactive men, flying saxophones, little devil barts, and Marge heads. Don't know why that's really disturbing to me actually. Now that really does look like you're being smacked around by knobheads. And then the boss for this stage is a giant bowling ball. A mutant bowling ball. After that you have a second bonus stage, but this time instead of pumping a giant balloon, you're slapping the Simpsons family's faces. Does that mean if you lose, they don't wake up from their deaths? Again, this stage is impossible to play unless you have some sort of rapid fire function going on. The next level is TV Studio, where you have 3 bosses. I mean, let's face it people, by this time your lives are running thin because you've gone through all those levels. You have a robot mini boss, a ninja mini boss, and finally the boss of a samurai. After all that, you're nearly dead. Now there's the good news, is that after that you only have the last level, which isn't a level at all but only 2 bosses. You got Smithers, which looks like his season 1 counterpart with the weird blue hair but not the dark skin, and he throws bombs all over the place and you just gotta run around hitting him. He isn't that hard, but then you gotta fight Mr. Burns, who is the final boss, and that's the bad news because he is hard as fuck. Now of course we all know Mr. Burns is a complete weakling, but you're not fighting Mr. Burns himself. At first you're fighting him in a giant mech suit. After you destroy the first part of the mech suit, it comes apart and there's about 2 more different parts before you finally have Mr. Burns on his own. And the funny part is that you can actually, well, punch Mr. Burns and make him break and fall over. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. Me and my friend, we got to the last level and we couldn't make it. So if you want to see the ending of this, either play the arcade game or, I don't know, YouTube it or something, because this game is insanely hard and that's the furthest I've ever got on this game. because of the limited lives and so on. So is this a good port or not? Yes, it's really fun, but it could do with a few extra lives. The graphics and music are, well, they're great for DOS, but nothing compared to the arcade version. If you can get yourself on the arcade version or an emulator of the arcade version, play that instead, because you can, well, on the emulator you can keep cheating it by putting in 100 different coins. The PC version, however, is a really tough challenge, but I'm sure people can do it. Hey, who's that? It's the Simpsons family. It's the Simpsons family. They've been turned into giant life-size stamps. Reference to a Batman episode with the Green Hornet crossover. Oh my god, what am I gonna do with these guys?
What will happen to the Simpsons family? Will the Geekgo be able to save them in time? Tune in next Geek Time, next Geek Channel. Actually, it'll be revealed right now. No and no.